Welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast with your hosts Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Divert your phone and grab a brew as Waz and Nic unpack tips, tales, secrets and stuff-ups from guests both inside and outside your trade, helping educate and inspire you to break the cycle of gut-busting and money stress and create a true trade business.
Now we're both waiting for each other. We're being polite.
Nick
You know,
mate.
when I see Nick mate, all I think about is the, what are those birds called? Seagulls on Finding Nemo.
Mine.
Is that what they're saying? Mine. I always
Mine,
had it in my
yeah.
head it was mate.
Oh, might.
Mate.
Well, it's a bit Kath and Kim, might. I might.
I do like Kath and Kim. Are you a Kath and Kim fan?
Never watched it.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Oh, you are missing some serious pop culture references then.
Oh, look, I cruise around social media enough to pick up enough to be able to converse in Aussie.
Ah, is that what you're doing on social media?
I'm just stalking everybody, Nicole.
Oh, that really doesn't surprise me.
Well, it's kind of research, really. I tend to be a consumer of content insofar as it helps us do what we do here at Tradies in Business and understand what people's issues are in business and life. And I think more people would do well to read and observe more and open their mouths less.
So are you saying, here comes my big Chuck Norris while I ignore that comment, are you saying that we should use our online time to learn?
Oh, look, I think it's an excellent use of time, Nicole.
Do you think maybe that signing up for fantastic products such as the Trade Desk and then not actually showing up to any of the things the Trade Desk offers would be a bit of a waste of time?
Okay, so we didn't really talk about this aspect of today's episode prior, but are you trying to wind me up here so that I go off like a firecracker?
Well, you and I have had some heated discussions this morning about our wonderful planning session on Friday afternoon, and I kind of like seeing you fizz off like a top that's been wound too tight, and I thought maybe I'd just poke you a little bit here.
Just get me spinning again.
Yeah, it's my revenge because you've done it to me a few times recently, so now it's my turn.
I do like to light your fuse and then run away.
You're very good at it. It's like lighting the grenade and watching it pop from a safe distance.
Look, firstly, I want to say g'day, listeners. Welcome to 2.5 minutes of waffle and the Tradies in Business podcast. We are recording this on a Monday after a Friday, which coincided with TIB90. Hashtag TIB90. I tell you what, go to Instagram. If you're listening to this podcast on a mobile device, flick over to Instagram and search and follow hashtag TIB90. Tango India Bravo 90. And you will see some of our kick-ass community members, our premium members who they put their hand in their pocket, they pull out their wallet and they pay to play. And they're playing as part of a group that are getting some, I got to say, Coxie, spectacular results. Now, I went on a bit of a rant this morning after you did.
That's true.
just if I put that in there, please. But I did go, it wasn't so much of a rant as it was a loving slap around the ears.
It was a hell of a big kick up the arse for our members.
Because we have people who put their hand in their pocket, pull out their wallet and pay to play, but then they don't walk onto the court.
No, they're still at the back warming up with the ball.
If that. So I guess I put a call out to anybody who is a part of the Trade Desk or even some of our drawing board members and tradiepreneurs. Yes, I'm talking to you. That didn't turn up to plan their next 90 days and 12 months really in their business, but more than that, to actually increase the likelihood of achieving their goals. And I think that's what bugs me the most about any of us. And I'm guilty of this too. I'm a pot and I'm calling the kettle black.
You're outing
Is-
yourself.
Well, yeah, and we're all subject to this behaviour, Coxie, and I don't want to stand here because I'm standing up in the studio. I don't want to stand here and preach and be all self-righteous and stuff. I'm saying this from a place of, hey, I've screwed this up as well, and I still do, and I will continue to do so. And I feel like part of our role at the podcast here, as you're listening to this, even if you are a freebie member of the group, or you just like listening to the podcast because you get heaps of value out of this, I hear a lot of excuses from people, and they sound a lot like the excuses I've made over the years about why they don't do things, why they don't make change, and why they don't take opportunities that are in front of them. And I heard a fantastic quote recently, and I can't remember if I've shared this on the podcast before or not. I don't think so. That luck is the confluence of preparation and opportunity. So luck is just the point where preparation and opportunity meet.
Mm.
And in actual fact, it came from a future guest of our podcast that I'm fanboying about, but coming up in the next few weeks. And I thought that's such an awesome definition of luck, because you've got to be prepared for the time when the opportunity comes across in front of you. And then you become one of those lucky people in business that, you guys are so lucky that you got those big jobs, or that you know how to use Xero properly, or that you had your marketing sorted before the Rona hit. You're just lucky. And I would like you to create more of your own luck, listeners, by turning up to stuff like TIB90 that was on Friday, where we had 30 motivated, focused, intentional business owners, trade business owners, all figuring out the actionable steps to achieve their goals in the next 90 days. And so far, the feedback from that session is that most of those people are like, holy crap, I have so much more clarity about how to get what I want. And if you weren't there, I wonder what your excuse was.
I'd like to get some feedback on the excuses, actually, because I know. Look, this is the first time we've offered something like this to anybody but our tradiepreneurs. Generally, it's kept for our tradiepreneurs only as a reward for their investment with us. However, this time we decided we'd open it up to everyone. It was a bit of a FU to the first part of this year. Let's get everyone planning and excited about the second part. And as excited as I was to see so many people join us, it was fantastic to have that many people on a Zoom call. We had great clarity and great breakthroughs in our breakout rooms, where we got together in small groups and spoke about what our goals were and helped each other find the steps to start moving towards those. It was disappointing to see that there was a potential for so many others to come and join us and get the same results. And so much of what you and I do is about ensuring that we have the vehicle for anyone who's willing to jump on board to set goals and start to achieve some of those goals, or the first steps before the goals, for as many trade business owners as we possibly can, which is what we're constantly doing. We're constantly finding ways to give back, constantly finding ways to add value and try and do it at the least cost possible. So this time we did, for you and I were on air for 4 hours. 4 whole hours we spent with our trade business owners, and those people that showed up have already reported back that they're starting to step forward with those goals or dreams or wants, if you want to break it right down. All because of a meeting. And it's not so much that we had a magic wand or we had a trick or any of those things. It still takes hard work from you as the trade business owner, but there is nothing more powerful than sitting with a group of like-minded people with your wants and desires, and understanding just about every single person on that call have the same wants and desires from their business, and how you can all start to step towards that. Now, the stepping towards that looks different for each business, but the same, just about everyone there wanted to pay their house off, and they wanted to be able to have more frequent holidays.
Yeah, It's a pretty common thread amongst trade business owners, any business owner, really.
I think so. Isn't that why so many of us go into business for ourselves in the first place? Because we're looking for that flexibility and the time that we can spend with our family. So now all of those 30-odd trade business owners that joined us on the call are able to start to step towards making that something more than a dream and an actuality in their business and their lives. But how awesome would it have been if we had had all of our podcast listeners on that call as well? Or if we had had all of the tradies in Australia that own businesses planning out what their next 90 days could possibly look like. And you know what's even better? There's an email this morning that we got, Warwick. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet, from one of our drawing board members who,
yes, I've seen it.
at the very beginning of their goal with us, plucked a figure out of the air, a huge figure of turnover that they wanted to have in their business for the next financial year. It was so much bigger and broader than anything they'd ever possibly imagined before. And yet they put that figure down on the very first worksheet they did with us. And what do you know? They're 12 grand short of that figure. I think you can live with being 12 grand short because it's got to be. Now, did we get figures? I think it was double what it was the year before.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's almost double last year's profit.
It's enormous.
So when you say they're 12 grand short, we're talking like six figures.
Yes.
They've gone from 5 figures to 6 figures, which is almost double.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 45. It's like I don't know, 80% increase. So they've added another 80% of what last year's profit was.
It's a massive increase, and it needed to start with something more than just a flippant wish. Now, we all make flippant wishes. That's something we're also guilty of, but then we don't write down what those wishes are and turn them into goals, and then we don't go the next step further and turn them into actions, smaller actions that march us on towards achieving those goals. And that's exactly what this drawing board member has done starting at the beginning of this year. In fact, it wasn't even quite it's not been even that much of an investment of time. And through the Rona, they were able to smash that goal out of the park. Now, that's something that we have invited everybody to do with us in one form or another. You can do it in the trade desk. You can join the drawing board with a group of your peers and do it there. You can turn up to the 90-day planning session and do it there. Can you imagine how much closer you're going to be today after Friday already to reaching your goals because you've just written them down for starters? It's impossible to know how to get to a goal until you understand what the goal actually is. So as excited as I was on Friday, it still leaves me a little bit like, I don't think we captured everybody. It's a shame that more people were not able to turn up because they made an excuse. They were too busy.
So rather than just stand here and point the finger at you listening to this, and if you haven't tuned out yet, then well done for sitting through that. Or standing through that or driving through that, where it's like, I think a lot of us in our industry, Coxie, it's easy to do the forehead tapping finger thing or poke people in the breastbone and say, you're not doing this and you're not doing that, and not do the next part, which is, and here's how you can change it.
Yes.
And that's what I certainly try. It's a crappy word, but certainly try and do as much as possible is, hey, if you're not doing this, if you're making excuses, here's how you can start to change that. Now, obviously, turning up to the sessions that we run is a simple way to do that. But if that in itself is actually proving to be too difficult for you at the moment, then I listened to a really good podcast on the weekend, actually, about change, and it was about global change and the situation we're in with the Rona and some of the other political and social events that have been going on in the last few months. And I'm definitely not mentioning them specifically, but you can probably guess. And he was saying that before we can actually change the system or change what's going on, change the cycles, first we have to name what's happening now. First, we have to call out how bad things really are and what is the current situation. What are we actually dealing with here? And so we had a great session this morning, Coxie, in our Toolbox talk with our premium members around excuses and actually getting people to name them. and write them down. And thank you to those who participated full out this morning and actually typed them in the comments and put their excuse on paper in front of a bunch of other people on a call, and certainly in front of their coach, being you and I. But that's often the first part of it, is if you find you're not getting to things, you're not getting along to sessions, you're not logging into the trade desk if you're a member, if you're in the group and you're not posting there, or you haven't reached out to us for more support, or you're listening to this and you keep hearing us bang on about our first 30 days free offer around the trade desk, and you still haven't done anything about it, well, maybe just think about what are the excuses you're making? What comes up for you? What are your reasons? And write them down. Write it down and name it and go, okay, well, my excuse is that, as someone said this morning, I have a full-time job that I work in at the moment. So, and I read that and went, whoa, that's a good one. How the heck am I going to bust that one down for this person? And the even cooler thing, Coxie, that happened almost immediately was I didn't have to say anything. They actually commented on their own excuse, because once they wrote it down, I feel like it makes it easier to rebut that excuse and say, well, I can actually work nights and some weekends to get some of this stuff done in the business while I'm still working full time, because that's an investment in my long-term success, prosperity, freedom, whatever it is. And rather than go, well, I work a full-time job, I don't have time. And here's someone who's instantly taken ownership and gone, and I'm working nights to get it done. And I think that's such a powerful thing, is when we name the excuse, then we can start to look at, okay, well, how can I smash this thing? How can I break it down? How can I move past it in the next little while? So that would be my tip for you listening to this. If you do find you come up against your own excuses or reasons why, maybe you're justifying things a little bit and only you will know this, write it down. You don't have to even share it with anybody, but write it down. And then on the other side of the page, go, okay, well, if that's my excuse or reason, what's one thing I can do to start to reduce that or avoid it, or, short circuit that excuse? So there's a little how-to for you, listeners.
Once again, we're asking you to have a look at changing, aren't we? So much what we talk about here on the podcast is change. We're not trying to add more to your list. We're trying to make you more, or show you ways to be more efficient and effective with the time that you do have. Because it's not possible for all of us to give up our full-time jobs and work in the business and on the business. It's not possible for some of us to pay for childcare because we're just not in a position where we can at the moment. So what is possible is for us to find ways to work around those obstacles we're putting in front of ourselves. Again, you're standing in your own way. Get out of your way, find some clarity, understand what it is that's at least in your head preventing you from getting this stuff done. And if you can't find a way, if you're really struggling with, I just don't know how to get this work done while I've got the kids at home, reach out. Let us help you find a way, because there is always a way. It might take a big commitment from you to work after hours or when they're asleep, or on another rest time, maybe on a Sunday morning for a couple of hours. It might be in those times that you'll have to commit to doing a bit of extra work to get through this time in your life, or to work around the excuse you keep putting forward. But the freedom that comes with those steps forward, with that clarity, with the efficiency, frees you up so that you can do more of this yourself within your business, rather than getting stuck on stuff that isn't working, or excuses that are just excuses. Sure, they're barriers, but they can be worked around.
Mm. Yeah, I love the title of your new book, Get Out of Your Own Way.
With the F word in it. Like today on Tuesday.
Yes. And it's very relevant. But you have to start with something somewhere. And I commented on someone's post this morning about this particular issue and about plans and getting more results. And it was this issue of being overwhelmed. It's like, well, there's so much and I don't know where to start.
Mm.
And I commented back and said, well, think about what is the area in your business or your life that is either suffering the most or could benefit the most from a change.
Yep.
Just look for where are you going to potentially get the most bang for your buck if you do make some changes.
Yes.
Ignore the rest, focus on that one area. And that might be your sleep habits. Maybe you're staying up till 11:30 at night and you know that that's affecting everything else. Start with that. Break it down into some small steps. Well, what are some small things I can do to make a difference here? It doesn't have to be fixed in 5 minutes. Maybe it's to stop having 6 beers after 7 p.m. Cut it down to 5. No, it's not going to fix it overnight, but it's change. And once you start changing little things, those little things all start to add up and create a bit of momentum. And then, like our drawing board member who has almost doubled their profit in 6 months, that momentum becomes like a freight train. It's heading in the right direction and it's almost unstoppable. They're the people who are just fired up. They've gotten so used to making those little changes and they've created momentum in the right directions or the desirable directions for them in their business and their personal life. And you just see these people. It's like they're literally unstoppable.
Mm. It's a great point that you make, Warwick. I guess this is probably something that we don't talk about enough. It's how small these steps can be in the beginning. They don't have to be huge. And I feel that when we're having any kind of problem in business, we're overwhelmed or we don't have enough inquiries coming through or they're the wrong kind of inquiries or I don't have a clue what my cash flow is, any of those problems that we're all plagued by from time to time in business, it feels so enormous. We get stuck thinking about the size rather than just making one small step. What's the one thing I could do today to begin to change this, to begin to make that change and move forward? And you're absolutely right when you say, and it's quite typical for all of our drawing board members, there's always that one point that they've been stuck on. And once they shift past that, and it is simple as making a very small change. So it might be a change to your job title, or it might be a change to ensuring that you're having regular meetings with all the stakeholders in the business, or it might be just fronting up and doing a toolbox talk every week because you can finally do it because you've got a script in front of you to help get you through that process. Whatever those little bits of change are, once you make one small change, you get into a new habit of making change, and change becomes far more comfortable. And it can be as small as changing the message on your message bank, or it might be changing your email signature so that you're selling without understanding that you're selling, or it might be outsourcing one part of your business because it's just too big for you right now. All of these changes are actually quite small. However, when you start to run a few of them into one another, it's like a freight train. The momentum is enormous. And that change becomes addictive and a big part of your new personality, which is driven to success because you're comfortable in change.
Yeah. It's, those little tiny stone chips you get on your windscreen?
Oh, good analogy. I like it.
And you look at it and you think, oh, that's not going to bother the screen. And it's this tiny little chip and a crack. You can barely see it. And then you park the car out overnight in Tasmania and you get a really heavy frost. And it's so cold that little tiny chip and a crack runs across the whole damn windscreen.
Yeah, in no time.
Well, that's what making these little tiny changes in your business and your life are like. Dropping that one beer creates change in ways you can't even understand until you've done it. Or just dealing with that one invoice that needs to get sent out that you've been putting off for the last 2.5 months. You send that one out. It's like putting a little crack in the glass, and all of a sudden you can just shatter that whole barrier. Oh, wow, that was so wanky.
That's a good one.
Because of one little chip that you made in it. You just chip away. People keep saying to me, just chipping away, just chipping away.
Great.
And that's fantastic, because if you keep chipping, you can shatter the whole thing. So there you go. There's
Well,
my cheesy analogy for the day.
It was a bit cheesy, but I did really like it. So how are we going to help you chip away, listener? We want to remind you that you only have today and tomorrow left to get your first month free in the trade desk. Make today that change that you are talking about. Take a step towards the goals that you so desperately want to begin to achieve and join the damn trade desk. We've made it free. You can come in and have a poke around. If you don't like it, you can leave. We won't even be offended. We've got broad shoulders. We don't offend very easily, do we, Warwick?
No, I don't take many fences.
So for today and tomorrow only, you still have the opportunity to join the trade desk for free. So just head on over to the website or search. I'm pretty sure now if you search in Google trade desk, Tradies and Business Trade Desk, it'll come up there for you. And when prompted, use the coupon code TRADIES4TRADIES. That's the number 4, and in capital letters, TRADIES4TRADIES, and you will get your first month for free. Once Wednesday rolls around, though, that's all over. So now is time for you to take your first little step towards making some significant change in your business that will carry you through to where you want your business to be.
Midnight, 30th of June, 2020. It all stops. No more freebies.
Nope. Isn't that sad? I kind of feel like I'm giving away one of my children here. I'm feeling a bit like, we've been banging on about this for so long. How long have we been doing this free offer? 4 months?
Since the Rona started. So, 3.5 months or something, I think. Maybe longer.
I don't know what I'm going to talk about when I can't talk about tradies for tradies anymore.
We'll come up with a new offer.
We will.
But Trade Desk is your first month is free. So even if you jump on in the next 24 hours, you still get a free month.
A whole month.
It doesn't end on the 30th of June. The offer does. But if you jump in and sign up before the end of June 2020, you get a whole month for free. You can go and check out all the great sessions that we run. Coxie does coffee. She joins me for a drink on Friday afternoons. We do our Monday morning toolbox meetings. We've got Wednesday afternoon live coaching sessions for you to jump onto and get some coaching from us, and a whole bunch of resources and downloads and how-to videos and planning templates and other events that you get invites to. So after that, it's $49 a month. I drove past a bottle the other day, Coxie, and I noticed that a carton of beer costs about that. And I'm pretty sure
you even observed that.
I'm pretty sure that most blokes, at least, but anybody who drinks beer would go through more than a carton a month.
Yes, so we're cheap as chips, really, aren't we?
Less than a carton a month, and you could actually make another, 5 figures in your business this year. Which one's more important to you?
I like it when you put it that way.
All right, so what are your excuses? Go smash them. If you need some help, you know where to find us. Hit us on Facebook. Drop us a DM. We're always happy to help tradies out of the mud. And we will be back in your ear holes, I don't know, whenever we decide, Coxie.
Yeah, well, we're calling it. The end of the month is nigh or near or however you want to term it. Any second now, it'll be the end of the month, and it's all over Red Rover. We are just going to go back to doing occasional podcasts instead of daily ones.
Yep.
As if anybody will actually be terribly upset that we're not in their ear hole. Just in case you are, I'm sorry. We will be going back to our more regular planning. Yes,
the daily Tradie Rona cast has run its course. We're pretending that the Rona is gone, sticking our head in the sand. And getting back to some sort of normal transmission. So thanks for tuning in every day to those that have. Don't worry, we're still going to be coming at you a couple times a week at least, maybe more. We'll be running special episodes and stuff with guests. And, have a fantastic Monday.
It's Tuesday, Warwick.
Oh, thought it was Monday.
You've gotten a lot.
Stuck in the
past. Thanks for listening.
Have a good day, whatever day it is.
You've been listening to the Tradies in Business podcast with Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Find out more about today's guest, tools for your trade business, and other cool stuff at tradiesinbusiness.com.au.